Happy everyone here tonight. All right, it's our usual Monday night Insights with Alicia. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight is actually 2 months since I started doing this, and thank you to everyone who shows up every week. It is so fabulous to see you, and the new people that show up every week as well. I love having you. When I started this, for those of you that remember, I knew that I was going to do it for about 4 weeks. Like that's as far as the universe had given me a sense of time of what I was going to be doing. And we have definitely surpassed that and lots of things to still talk about. I love doing this every Monday evening. I did take last week off from all things tech-wise, blogs and videos to sort of recharge my creativity. I've been doing a lot and, you always hear me talking about being responsible for your happiness, and that's what I needed to do. So it was funny because I thought, oh, now I'll have time to get all the other stuff done that's on my to-do list, right? Like because I want to rewrite some of my web pages, and I'm still teaching myself a lot of this tech stuff and social media. And yeah, none of that happened either. The universe and my body were like, you are taking a break. And I was like, but I got stuff to do, and didn't matter. And it's all perfect. It's all good. It cracks me up how I still sometimes try to get in my own way, and we can all laugh about it. It's perfect. So yeah, so 2 months, and it's so interesting. We've talked about this a little bit, and for those of you that watch this video, and if something is calling out to you and that's scary, I really get that. So here's the thing. If you go back to the beginning and still figuring out some of this stuff, I was terrified. There's actually a video that you can watch that is my real-time transformation, where I decided to start doing videos and how scary that was going to be. And that was 2 months ago, maybe 9 weeks ago that video was made, because I've been doing this for 2 months. And it's just unbelievable, because in that short period of time, it shifted. Something that was absolutely terrifying for me, I now absolutely love to do. And I look forward to it every Monday night. We get to chat, get to talk about things. So I get that if there's something out there you want to do that it's scary, it's going to be scary, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're not supposed to do it. Doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. Doesn't mean that you're missing something. Just because something is on our path doesn't mean that it's always going to be comfortable. And I get it. I know I don't like that part either. I don't like it. I wish that everything was light and easy, and a lot of times it is. And then there's these places where, the universe is calling us to the next part of our path or our next level or something greater. And we're like, the human in us is like, I don't know about that, because as you've heard me talk about, right, we don't always get all of the steps. We just get the next step, so that we can be led along our path, because that's how humans are. Us humans want to see the whole picture. But if we see some of those steps in the middle that don't look so much fun, we may not take all the steps. So if you've ever watched my video on the toddler keys so I made this video, one of the first ones. Once again, you'll see the difference between then and now, is when I try to be very human and get in control of my life, right, and not co-create with the universe. It's like I'm trying to wrestle the keys away from the universe. Like I'm a teenager and I want to drive the car. Why would you give me the keys to the car, right? The universe can see the big picture, can see all of the pieces, and me down here wants to drive the car all by myself. So so I make this joke, in that I actually bought some of like those toddler plastic keys. And on those days where my control freak is really wanting to drive the car, I look at those, because I have them hanging here above my desk, and go, oh yeah. So I play with my little plastic toddler keys, because that makes the human part of me feel like I'm in control. Meanwhile, I allow the universe to drive, and I co-create that way. But sometimes we just have to give our human part something to do. So it's just so interesting how some of that happens. And I'm so thrilled that, like I said, that you guys are all here today. This is super perfect. I'm just trying to hit some more of the tech buttons here. That's what we're looking for. Perfect. Okay. So what are we going to talk about tonight? All right. Let me pull up my notes here. Okay. So for those of you who are new or haven't been here before, if you got any questions or feedback as we go along the way, pop it in the chat, and I will do my best to answer those questions or chat with you. So I am Alicia Sweezer, owner of Who Knew Healing. The reason we are getting together tonight is that I was led to start sharing some things I teach my clients, or insights that I get that help myself, people around me, or like I said, my clients. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm an intuitive life coach, animal consultant, psychic medium, and intuitive mentor. And my passion is helping animals and people. Thank you so much for joining in. Just letting more people in here. This is all perfect. Awesome. Get my notes back up here. So hopefully you've got your favorite drink. I still have my iced tea. That's usually what I have this evening. I'm going to be talking a lot, so I drink. Whatever you happen to be drinking, pop it in the chat if you have anything yummy. And like I said, for anyone that has questions or any feedback, we're only using the chat. There is no live video for participants or sound in these events. So please pop it in the chat if that is what you would like. Okay, so what are we going to talk about this week? So we are going to talk about giving input or facilitation or teaching, anything like that, when it hasn't been asked for. And so it's sort of this place of, are we listening or are we offering solutions? And I had this come up a lot this last week. I had another experience of this, and it was so interesting because thank you to everyone who helped facilitate me in that. I really appreciate it. And just doing some techie things that popped up here real quick. All right, perfect. Okay, sorry about that. Some technical difficulties, always with the Zoom and the Facebook. And so as I was saying, thank you to all the people who helped facilitate me with this situation that came up this week. And through that, there was someone suggested that I talk about this subject again. And just have more people show up. It's so awesome. So what it is there's gonna, sorry, the tech stuff just totally messed me up. Okay, so when we are giving feedback, information, facilitation, teaching without being asked for it, it can really feel like fixing. It can feel like criticizing, and it can feel like judgment. It definitely doesn't feel like caring to the person that is having a hard time. So like I said, I talk about this. It's the same concept. If you were with us in the beginning, I did a video about intuitive hits and how not always when you get an intuitive hit, is it the time or your responsibility to deliver it to that person. As I talked about, like I get intuitive hits all of the time. And, but that doesn't mean that they're always supposed to be delivered to the people, because right, my antennas are on all of the time. So this concept falls under the same principle. And what it starts to look like is that when someone's in their feelings, right, when they're having a hard time, when they're super emotional, right, something has happened, they're upset, they're sad, they may be in grief. The situation is that they can't actually hear the wisdom that you're trying to impart on them, because it's kind of like being in the pool and you're drowning in the pool and someone's trying to teach you how to swim at that moment. You're like, I am not in a mental place to even be able to understand what that is. And so in those moments of when we're really emotional or just sort of even besides ourselves, we want our friends. And recently someone said to me that they didn't know what that meant, that when someone says to them, I just want my friend right now, They didn't know what that meant. And that really surprised me, that there are instances where people do not know what one of the foundational principles or bases of what a friendship is. And the foundation for friendship is an emotional heart connection and an energetic connection. We can get wisdom and teaching and ideas and anything mental from lots of people, right? We can get that anywhere. That heart connection is for very specific people. It's for the people in our life that we're very on purpose for, right? Those are our friends. Those are the people that we feel emotionally safe with. And if they're capable of wisdom, that's great, right? Like that's just an extra bonus. But that's not what the inner circle friendship is based on. It's based on that heart and that energetic connection. These are the people who will listen to us without judgment or trying to fix us. They love us just the way we are. They allow us to have our feelings without going into facilitating, offering advice. They know that just being there is enough. And here's the thing. We are taught that offering advice is caring. And when people do it, they're not most often trying to do it from a malicious place. They really, really believe that they're trying to help, right? They care about what's happening with you and they want to fix it for you. And that comes from a place of caring. There are some people who will use it as like a manipulation and that sort of thing. But for the most part, people really, really do believe they're trying to help. And like I said, we're taught that offering advice, offering solution is caring. And it is when it's asked for. So now here's the thing. When we're in those emotional places, right? We don't want our friends to get in the pool with us, right? Like I said, we're drowning in the pool, we're splashing around. That's not helpful either. Don't get in here with me because now we're both gonna drown. We're gonna be dragging each other down. So what that looks like is they stand on the side of the pool and they're like, hey, I got a life preserver here if you want it. No judgment, take your time. And they offer encouragement and love and support. Saying things like, I know this sucks right now, right? I know you will find your way through it. I love you. You are not alone. Whose body do we have to hide? How many shovels do I need? Just kidding. My friends used to joke about that because I have a science degree. So there was always this joke of like, oh, Alicia knows how to hide a body, right? Because of me knowing about nature and science and all of those kind of things. It's not true. It's not a service I offer. They'll say things like, how can I support you? How can I contribute to you? What is it that you need right now? That is very, very different than saying to someone, have you tried this? You should have done that. Have you asked these questions? Because what can happen is, like I said, when we're in all of those feelings, we hear those. And it's not that that advice or that information is incorrect or not helpful. It just can't be heard at that moment. And sometimes when those of us that happen to, for the person who's in their emotions at that time, it feels like, oh, well, here's a whole list of things that I didn't do right. Oh, here's a bunch of things that I'm being judged for. Oh, here's a whole bunch of things that I wasn't smart enough to figure out to do. All of the stories that we tell ourselves because we're already so much in this emotional place, like our emotions are up here. So, like I said, we want our friends in those moments. And I'm going to tell a story here that really demonstrates this, of that just showing up is enough, and that it's not always the same in every friendship. So I had a friend, and our friendship started out that way. She was sort of a facilitator for me. And so when that's ended and we became friends, we had to have some conversations around how do we switch our relationship, right? So that she didn't fall into that role just by default, and that we could actually have the friendship. And as that continued on, we found our way. And then I noticed for myself that, because she had originally showed up for me that way, like offering facilitation or ideas or teaching or, showing me my part and stuff and all of the things that I love. And that wasn't always how my actions, my contribution in the friendship showed up. And I thought about that at the beginning, and I was like, ooh, what is this right? Because you always hear me talking about, we want mutual relationships. We don't want one-sided. And the actions may look different and the percentage may look different, but that mutual investment, that's what we always want to have, that's underneath. And she had a life coach at the time, right? So she had someone that she would go to for those kind of things. And then I got to learn for myself, one, look at the stories that I was telling myself and judging myself, where it's like, oh, well, I don't offer that. And it's like, no, I'm a friend. I'm not her life coach. And I offer, I'm usually the funny friend, right? So I make her laugh and we do things together. And I'm the person she calls when she's sad and when she's happy. We have that heart connection. We have that energetic connection. I don't need to be the one to facilitate her through, a challenge in a relationship or a business thing. I'm her friend first and foremost. That is the only role I have to get to, whatever the language you want to do, that I've chosen to play. I don't have to be her facilitator. Like I said, we can get a lot of that stuff in many, many places, but that heart connection is what comes just from our friendships. That's the place of emotional safety. So I hope that makes sense, where it's like, no, the actions aren't always going to show up as the same. Like I said, she would still sometimes be that person for me, but I didn't have to trade action for action, because we don't want our relationships to be a trade. We want them to be places of freely giving. And just because the actions of what your friendship looks like aren't the same, doesn't mean that both people are not contributing equally. You just contribute differently. So it kind of ties back to the video and blog that I did, where I talked about, how do you feel loved? Right. So this is where that starts to manifest in friendships. Like, what does that look like? Oh, well, I feel loved when, because I'm a deeds of service person, right? So she would always cook for me, because I don't cook very much since my divorce. And I always felt very loved by that. And then how I loved her would show up in different ways. Like I said, the action doesn't always have to be the exact same. And in these moments of when we're in, all of our emotions and we happen to be in the pool, the people that are surrounding us, this is where being present and mindful comes into play, right? This is where we talk about the practice of responding versus reacting. And I have a feeling we're going to talk about those more in depth another time. I think this whole subject of what I'm talking about now, there's a few pieces that go to it, and we'll see what the universe does as the weeks go along. But I think there's going to be a couple of topics in this, under this umbrella, that we're going to chat about. And the other thing is that if you feel like you need, when I'm talking about need, that part inside, we're like, oh, I need this, where you need to have input in everything that is said in a relationship, then that's information about you. It has nothing to do with that other person. If you, and sometimes this can be a form of trying to earn your place in the friendship, because you may not realize that you just showing up, you just being you, is enough. You don't have to earn, you don't have to teach, you don't have to always have an idea. You just being you and having that heart connection is enough. So anytime we have, and this comes really into play, right, with what I do for a living, as far as like with my coach, my coaching and my clients, and anytime we have an attachment to speaking, and anytime we have an attachment that this person must hear what we're going to say, that attachment's about us. It's no longer about the other person, and that information we're going to deliver, you've heard me talk about being clean, is not clean, because it's got my stuff in it. Like, I'm like, no, you need to have this. Who's to say? And because we don't know if that information, we're taking it that it must come from me, and the universe can deliver information in all kinds of ways, all through all kinds of people. But when we go, no, this need is there, that it has to come from me, and they have to hear it, and they have to understand it, that attachment's about me. And it was so funny, because this was just the coolest story. This came up a couple of weeks ago. I was in a group and I got some intuitive hits about one of the people that was speaking, and I was going to message her. And we really don't have a relationship like that. We're sort of new to knowing each other. And so just popping off something of like, hey, because I would still always ask, right? I always ask. I got some information. Would you like to have it? But I could feel there was an attachment to it. And it was so interesting because usually I don't have that. Usually I'm very clean. Like, you know what? They can get it from me. They can get it from somewhere else. Universe will, will provide for them always. And it was so, because I could feel myself, because I really enjoy this person. And I would like to have more interaction with her. So I could feel my attachment, right? My wanting some attention from her, my wanting her approval, all of that kind of stuff. And then I said, nope, I'm not going to send the text because it's not clean. It has my attachment. It has my getting behavior in there. And so I said to the universe, I was like, look, if it's me that is supposed to deliver this information, then have her reach out to me. And I kid you not, because this doesn't always happen to me this fast. The next day she actually messaged me about something else. And I was like, oh my God, I was just the coolest thing. And so then I messaged, I was like, thank you, because what she had sent me. And then I said, by the way, I got this. Would you be interested in having it? And she said, absolutely. So I delivered it. It was a great epiphany for her, but it was one of these really perfect moments that we get to see that I could feel, right? It's always that feeling. I was like, ooh, it's not clean. And she didn't ask. So like I said, it's this place of asking for what we want and what we need. Now, is there a place in most of the time in friendships, relationships, right? There's a natural back and forth of the relationship. And there's going to be specific times where one person needs it to be about them for that moment. And this is where the person who needs it to be about them, it's our responsibility to speak up for ourselves and our needs. And I know this can be really uncomfortable sometimes. And hopefully your inner circle is made up of people who can support you in this. If not, you will find out very quickly. And so this is where we get to say, I just need to vent, or how is your capacity? Because I need to get something off my chest, or I just need to talk about this and move through my feelings. And then I will be open to any feedback that you have, because then it lets people know. And I do this with my friends all the time. Like I'll text them and I'll be like, how's your capacity? Because they know for me, like that's my language of I'm having some feelings, right? And I don't always like having my feelings. Or something has freaked me out, or I'm upset over something, or I'm trying to figure something out, but there's feelings involved. And so I ask them how is their capacity, because then they know, oh, this is what Alicia needs. And they check in with themselves and they're like, yeah, my capacity is good. So then we'll, get on the phone and talk, and they can hold space and listen while I get all of my emotions out. And then if I'm at a place where I still have capacity, and I want to see my part in it, or, are there questions I could ask, or what's really happening here, or all those kinds of things, then we can have that conversation. But if I'm not, and then they do that, it doesn't feel caring. It doesn't feel loving. And like I said, most of the time, people are really doing it to care about ourselves or to care about us. And they just don't know. They just don't always know. So in this video that, everything we're talking about tonight, one is there is some homework for yourself to start to pay attention. Like, where do you do this? Like, I'm not perfect in it. I have no doubt there are times where I've offered feedback and someone didn't ask. I try really, really hard, even with my friends, let alone, it's always that way with my clients, to not, and I'm not perfect. So, but we want it to be where it happens less and less. So that, like I said, it's a place of being mindful. It's a place of responding versus reacting, and just really paying attention and being present and really seeing and hearing what's happening with the person in front of you. And and for all the men out there, it's going to be like a little public service announcement, right? Men are very solution oriented, and we love that about them. We really, really do. And common complaint of a lot of women is that men don't listen. They try to fix the problem. So here is the thing. The men in your life will thank you for this. And truthfully, for everyone, tell them upfront what you are looking for. So you say, hey, I'm looking for you just to listen here, or I'm looking for solutions. Every man on the planet will be thrilled. They'll be like, oh, thank God. Now I know exactly how to show up. Because otherwise, they're trying to listen to you, but they're, they got all these solutions popping in, and they're like, but I don't know what she wants. And they're like, but if I speak up, I might get in trouble. And the truth is, like I said, that's for every person out there, but it's very, common, prominent in male-female relationships. So please tell them what you're looking for. Tell them what you need in the moment. And here's the thing. It then allows them to be fully present and show up for you in a way that you're really going to be cared about. So, right, that's emotionally safe. It creates intimacy. It creates connection, which is what we're always wanting underneath everything. So why not give them the opportunity to do that? And I know, like I said, I know it's really hard sometimes to really ask for what we're wanting, because we have had experience where we have been vulnerable and we have asked and the other person wasn't able to do that. And whether we got attacked back or they, went sideways or they just said, no, I don't have it. It's all perfect and fine. We just get to keep practicing, because you are worth asking for what it is that you desire and what it is that you need. And you are worth receiving that from people also. So, one of the things that always amazes me, and I realized this, gosh, years and years ago, and it was so funny because no one could really give me an answer. And I'm always amazed that when someone is sad or angry or having any emotion except happiness and joy, people do everything they can to move you out of those feelings. So when you're happy, nobody ever goes, oh, we need to facilitate you out of that. We can't have you be in a state of happiness. But if you're sad or you're angry or you're grieving or you're, overwhelmed or you're just pissed off or you're bitchy or whatever, everyone's like, oh, let's facilitate. What questions can we ask her? Let's facilitate you out of these feelings. Sometimes you just need to be in your feelings. Like, I forget about the sad part. My friends always laugh because that's one of the ones that shows up as unscheduled feelings. And I'd be like, what? Because I don't get sad very often. And then I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, well, that's sad. That's right. And instead of judging it or for whatever, like, there's a time where you just feel your feelings. Just be sad. Because if you stuff them, they're not going anywhere. They just go down and they're going to come out somewhere. And then they get stuck in your body. And, that's a whole other conversation. But it always amazes me about humans that when anyone's in a state other than happiness or joy, they want to move them out of that. And it's really about them, the people that are trying to do that, because people have a hard time sometimes being around someone who is in their emotions because of how it makes them feel. This is all about them. When you're in your emotions and someone's trying to be like, oh, let's not have you feel those feelings. That's about their uncomfortableness. That's about their inability to process their own emotions. They're not bad or wrong. It's just where they are. And so when someone's in their feelings, it reflects back to them. And they're like, oh yeah, I remember when I was grieving and I didn't process a lot of that and it's stuck in my body. So it reflects back to them their own feelings that they haven't dealt with. And it makes them uncomfortable. So they want everyone around them to be happy and joyful, because then they don't have to be reminded of those feelings that they don't want to feel, that they've stuffed down. And that's okay. It's just this awareness that we get to have, that if there are people in your life that repeatedly show up and sort of don't have, capacity for your emotions, that's fine. All you do is learn that those aren't the people you go to for when you have emotions. Maybe they're outer circle friends, but they're not emotionally safe for you to be in that really vulnerable place. So it's just about learning where everyone fits in your life. And like I said, a lot of times that can show up as fixing, right? If they're not comfortable with you being sad or angry or whatever, they want to facilitate you out of it. So yeah, like I said, this is also something for you to start to pay attention to for yourself. If you notice that you don't have capacity for other people's emotions, awesome. Then you've learned something about yourself. And there are a lot of great opportunities in there for you to learn more about yourself. And of course, as always, if you would like help with that, then reach out, schedule a session, or sign up for, my brand new life coaching program. There are still some spots left. So the takeaway tonight is that if you are in any of your relationships, right, coworkers, family, friends, romantic, this is a principle that applies universally. And if you're not sure what someone wants, ask, because that is so much more caring and cognitive, right? Mindful of going, hey, I don't know what it is that you are wanting from me right now. And I really want to support you in this. So what is it you're looking for? Are you looking for someone to just to listen, or are you looking for solutions? And it may, ebb and tide as that goes through. Like there can, I can have a friend call who will be in their emotions, and I can tell that they're not like full blown in the pool. They're got their head above water and stuff. And I'll be like, hey, I have a question about that. Or are you open to a question? And they get to decide, because sometimes, a question can help them process some of those emotions. But it's still always asking, and they get to go, no, you know what? Not yet. Or nope, not today. And so it's really this place of being really present and seeing and hearing each other. And when that happens, it creates the most amazing connection, because you've both have it's this connection that happens through vulnerability. And it is such an intimate, special thing. And it's an act of unconditional love, because you're giving freely to each other. And it really, really is just the most beautiful thing. So I know I say so a lot because I'm just like, oh my gosh. We always want to ask, and be mindful. If someone's in a bunch of emotions, just be their friend. Because like I said at the beginning, that is enough. They are calling you as a friend. They want the heart connection. They want the energetic connection. And that is enough. And if they want more, they get to speak up and ask for it, or you can ask them as well. But it's the asking that changes the dynamic of the situation. It's not the telling. It's not forcing something on someone that they didn't ask for. So I hope that makes sense. I hope it's super helpful for you. Start paying attention where you do it, and see if you can start to catch yourself and employ this language, because I guarantee you it will change your relationships. It will. Okay. We're out of time. That is all for this evening. Thank you so much for everyone joining me tonight. It was great to see you all again. I'll be back next Monday, as far as I know. 1 week off was enough. I missed you all. As usual, here are all the infomercial parts, right? If you really enjoyed this and there are people that can learn a lot from this, or that this video may contribute to them, it will be on my YouTube channel, right? Under Alicia Sweezer. The link is in the event listing. Join my meetup. The link is in the event listing for all of the other things that we have going on. Thank you, as always, to everyone who has donated to my Cosmic Tip Jar. So grateful. It allows me to be able to continue to do free things like this. If anyone feels led to do so, the PayPal link is in the event info. And as always, if anything I talked about tonight makes you want to learn more, reach out, book a session, or schedule your free discovery call to be part of the brand new premier Change Your Life coaching program. There's still a few spots left. So thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Like I said at the beginning, it's been 2 months. It has been great. I am thrilled that I get to do this, and I am so grateful for all of you that show up every week. And either you show up live, or you watch the videos, or you share my information. It helps me, fulfill my life's path and contribute to everyone here. So thank you so much. All right, we'll see you next Monday. Bye, everyone.